Speaking of disgusting.
Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here with Otto, but there's nothing I can do. I prefer
50 subs to skip a Dennis Prager video.
when Otto lies in the other direction so you can see his gorgeous face, his handsome face, but he chooses what he wants, so you pretty much...
Vacational, thank you for gifting a sub to Razorback Bastard.
Unless he swaps positions. Anyway, welcome to the Fireside Chat, number... 215. I do WoW every week. I hate being predictable like that. I don't mind being predictable in my values, but style, what can I do? Anyway, hi everybody, great to be with you, and I want to remind you that this Fireside Chat brings to your attention Dallas Baptist University. It's a comprehensive Christian national...
Salmon Moose, amazing. Amazing.
Ranked university with a mission to produce the next generation of servant leaders. DBU graduates are men and women of a deep faith who strive to reflect the values of genuine
Entrim,
patriotism.
I'm so happy for you.
It can be found leading in the classrooms, courtrooms, boardrooms, and beyond throughout our country and around the world. To learn more about the value of a DBU education and how you or your student may be eligible to receive a $1,000 scholarship, visit prageru.com/DBU, Dallas Baptist University, prageru.com/DBU. Okay, I want to take a lot of questions today, but I will offer you with some thoughts on things that are happening. I don't normally talk about news items because this is not that sort of thing. That is this being the Fireside Chat. The Fireside Chat is thoughts that I have about life, basically, and taking your questions. It's all spontaneous. There's no teleprompter. Nothing's written out. But two big items occurred, and I'd just like to offer very quick thoughts on both. One was the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. So this was a 17-year-old young man. Nearly all of you know this, probably even those of you not in the United States. During the terrible riots in his city in Wisconsin, what was the name again? City in Wisconsin? Kenosha, yeah. So his father was living in Kenosha. He has a great deal of contact there. He lives in a suburb, or Kenosha is the suburb of where he lives in Illinois. That's right on the border. Anyway, he has a lot to do with this little city, relatively little in the country, but medium size in Wisconsin. It had terrible riots, not just protests, not just demonstrations, but riots. If you see videos of what was happening last summer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, you will see burned vehicles, smashed stores, looted stores. I mean, it was chaos. And the police did nothing because they were ordered to do nothing. Wherever Democrats are in charge, generally police do nothing during riots. Why that is a subject for perhaps another occasion. But
yeah, police really did nothing during all of the demonstrations. Definitely didn't provoke the majority of the violence when you actually look at the statistical breakdowns of the BLM protests. But sure, go off, King.
But it's just the way it is. Because the rioters are on their side politically, perhaps. They're their voters, so they don't want to suppress them. If the rioters were, as they almost never are, on the right, then they would be profoundly suppressed. That is how it works in the United States now, which is a less free country than at any time in its history.
No, the chair is extremely large. I'm not sure how to say your name. Existo? No, Prager is like, or Dennis Prager is like 6'3", like 6'5". Dude's big. He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
So this boy went to protect what was it?
Sorshista?
Or an auto dealer, I think. And he went to help get rid of graffiti, to help people who might be hurt in the demonstration.
Yeah, he went to go defend an auto dealer who didn't know who he was and didn't call him to come and defend the auto dealership. You know, that thing that you do for those businesses you really care about and are deeply connected to that have no idea who you are. An auto dealer, boo. Hey, Lin.
Demonstrations, even if they were on the other side. He wants to be a nurse. He's a good kid. You're allowed at his age, 17, to carry a gun, and he did. I don't know how else you protect a place that people are going to come and vandalize. Just standing there means you'll either be ignored or beaten up. So he was attacked by a guy with a horrible...
Well, in Wisconsin, let's be clear, pretty sure you're not allowed to carry a gun in Wisconsin, and he got off on that in the trial because of a technicality, like something to do with like hunting licensing. It was very weird. It was very bizarre.
Record of, he was in prison for almost 10 years, the guy, one of the guys that he ended up killing, for child rape. And he was screaming the N-word at people, which of course, had it been on the other side, that's all you would hear about. Had a right-winger.
No, actually, no. The substance of this has nothing to do with what the people were doing prior to getting shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. You can't just say Kyle Rittenhouse just sensed through the ether that this man had said the N-word, or that this man was secretly a criminal who had spent the last 10 years in jail. Like, no, that's not like something that was taken into account in the circumstance.
Been screaming the N-word, but if a left-winger does, the press ignores it, because the press in the United States is not an honest press. It is this.
Wait, also, sorry, Dennis, do you think that like the press wouldn't cover like a white leftist shouting the N-word over and over and over? Do you think the press wouldn't cover that, my dude? Pretty sure that would be like all over for like a day, and then that person's life would be ruined. It's frequently casual. As a frequent Vosh viewer, yes, all of his streams are just him screaming the N-word.
Spokesperson of the Democratic Party and of the left. I say this with only sadness, but it is true as anything in life is true. This is a perfect example. How many people know that one of the guys he killed, was screaming at him and others the N-word? Anyway, he has a terrible record. He was a bad human being.
And as we know, when someone screams the N-word, that gives you license to murder them in the street like a dog.
Such a thing as a bad human being. And by the way, if you deny that there are bad human beings, then you're denying that there are good human beings. Just remember that. Anyone who says there are no bad people is also saying there are no good people, right? Because it's a little absurd to say, oh, there are no bad people, but there are good people. Okay, so the people who were not good people, what term would you use to call them? Not good? Okay, I'll use not good. People sort of live in a make-believe world. Oh, there are no bad people. Of course there are. That's the tragedy of the human race, that there are more than a few bad people. Anyway, this guy tried to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse shot him and killed him. Whoa, was that Otto? That was a very serious sneeze. How are you? Oh, there he goes. He's wondering when his contract ends, because he leaves at a certain point, whether we're done or not. Otto, no, Otto, stay. Oh, stay, Otto. Oh, this is painful. Oh, yes, his mommy, my wife, said he's hungry. Okay, you probably heard the pitter-patter of Otto's feet. So this guy, Rosenbaum, tried to shoot Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse shot him, and he died. And similarly with the other individual. We have video. Otherwise, I suspect he would have been found guilty, because the prosecution just would have kept saying, look, he killed innocent people. But we have so many videos of what happened that it is not a question. The people who say...
Wait, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Without video evidence? He would have gotten off scot-free, like, instantly. What are you fucking talking about?
17-year-old shouldn't have a gun.
Yeah, also Paladin Lost, you are correct in that, like, in terms of like the narrative going on here, like, yeah, he lived like 40 minutes away from this place, and on top of that, like, dudes were like maybe being somewhat threatening to him, and he internalized that as like a death threat, right? Or like he feared for his life despite the fact that no one was trying to kill him, and so he killed somebody, and then another person saw him kill someone and tried to stop him from killing other people, and he killed that person. And then another person came up with a gun and hesitated in shooting him. By the way, would have been 100% justified in shooting Kyle Rittenhouse. And Kyle, like, blew his arm off. Like, I don't know. Whatever. Oh yeah, the guy threw a plastic bag. That's right. The first guy threw a plastic bag. Jesus.
17-year-olds can even enlist in the armed forces. Secondly, if it was legal, it was legal. If you think 17-year-olds are not allowed to have a gun, fine, change the law. But whatever he did was legal and moral. He didn't go to shoot anybody. He went to protect the place from being burned down. Now, why did he do that is a very important question, and the answer is because the police weren't guarding any places.
Also, I was today years old when I found out you could join the military at 17. I thought you had to be 18 years old. What happened? I guess I'm just wrong about that.
Against arson. Here's a very important rule. If the police do not protect the innocent, civilians will protect the innocent. That is a rule of life, as 2 and 2 is 4. People do not allow anarchy.
I love that Dennis Prager is simultaneously like, people do not allow anarchy, and also expressing his support for vigilante justice. Jesus, dude.
Some people want anarchy. They tend to be on the left, and they thrive on it, which is what.
Oh, only the National Guard lets you in at 17? Okay.
All the riots in America were for months in the year 2020. There was chaos. That was anarchy. But a lot of people do not thrive on anarchy, and if it exists, they will take protection into their own hands, and they are right to do so. I would. Wouldn't you? Is there anybody watching this video who would not protect their home or a friend's home if asked, if the police did not? And the police did not, because it was a Democratic Party run city and state. And in those cases, you don't protect yourself against left-wing protesters, rioters. These are sad things for me to tell you. I don't find it a happy state of America that I am describing, but it is nevertheless true. He is a decent kid, did not seek trouble, sought...
I don't know. Operate outside of the law, you're going to get popped, okay? Just saying. If you're operating outside of the law and you're trying to, fucking gun down people in the street, yeah, you're going to get popped, okay? Don't do this. Do not take any advice or any, thoughts about public morality from anything that Dennis Prager just said, or you will likely get killed.
To dispense with trouble. The rioters should have been in jail, not Rittenhouse. We live in an upside-down world.
He killed 3 people, my dude. So, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here, guys, even if you are dissatisfied with the Rittenhouse trial, even if you're dissatisfied with how that went, even if you're satisfied with it, whatever side you're on, when people get shot in public, yeah, you should be held to account for that in a trial of your peers. That is the justice system. Sorry, I can't just go outside, kill 3 people, and not expect to go to prison. Or not expect to be held for a court hearing. Sorry. Regardless of what the circumstances are, I would still be largely held to account for killing 3 people. Or 2 people. 2.5 people, I guess. Kia, yeah, we just finished the we just finished the JP Sears stuff not that long ago. Dude did a comedy set calling for the death of trans people. Pretty fucked.
Where the rioters are not jailed, but a kid who just went to protect property and shot in self-defense, he went to jail.
Yeah, he killed 2 people to protect property, and the property owners had no fucking idea who he was.
He was there, I think, for 2-3 months. I don't remember the exact length of time. The other item I want to talk to you about is the mowing down of human beings with a man in an SUV. The man had a rap sheet of 10 crimes. He tried to run over his girlfriend, I think that day or the day before. I think it was that day.
No, it was a few days prior.
He had hate-filled lyrics of rap songs, pretty much hates whites, hates policemen, uses expletives to describe policemen, This was all on his Facebook or Twitter page, whichever one it is.
Yeah, Dennis Prager has clearly never heard of NWA, okay? Dennis Prager has clearly never heard NWA. Jesus.
And then goes out and mows down people, all of whom were white. But we're told repeatedly this was not an act of terror. It may not have been. But he obviously deliberately killed all these people. So the question is, did their being white play a role in the fact that he, a black man who hates whites, mowed them down?
I mean, it sounds like you're attributing a lot of hatred to him, and we don't know that for a fact. But since we took him, since he's arrested alive, you know, maybe he can answer for himself in court. And guess what? The left is also against people mowing down others in cars. In fact, if I'm recalling correctly, conservatives are the ones arguing for people to be able to run over others with cars. I'm pretty sure that's the conservative position, as conservatives have entered legislation into numerous states around the country to legalize running over people in the road. And also, yeah, we have a hunch, because of what happened the day of the crime, that this guy didn't show up and had planned out that he was going to run down a bunch of people in a parade. What we know is he was fleeing the scene of a knife-related crime and then got impatient waiting and did something horrible and awful, and he should probably be in prison for the rest of his life. But of course Dennis Prager is probably going to try and make this into something else. Hey, Solazar Biscuit. Also, really, everyone in that parade was white? There are black people who live there too. I feel like his portrayal of this situation is not correct.
I don't know the answer. I do know this. If it was a white man who hated blacks, who mowed down five, at least at this time, 5 dead and dozens injured, some critically, this would have been the biggest news item in America, proof of how systemically racist America is, and it would undoubtedly have been called an act of racism and terror. Which, by the way, it would have been, but it's completely dismissed.
Wait, you know what? Let's take a look. Okay. What city was this in? Waukesha, Christmas. Okay. Waukesha. Demographics. Let's see. If there were several hundred people there, statistically, there should have at least been a couple dozen African Americans at that parade, okay? So, yeah, he's just full of horse shit. Unless he's saying that Christmas is a whites only holiday, which is pretty fucked, I guess.
This might have been in any way race-based, despite what he had put on his internet pages. So we live.
Yeah, show us some examples.
We live in the world of the lie, where we deny what our eyes see and what our ears hear. What is the famous line from a Groucho Marx movie, where he's caught in bed? His wife catches him in bed with another woman, and he immediately, she's going, "What is going on here? What is going on here?" And as he's getting dressed, he goes, "You're going to believe me or your lying eyes?" That's what I feel is the motto of the left. You're going to believe us or your lying eyes. Our eyes have seen what happened. But the worst is this, and my final comment. This man was out on bail after 10 times being arrested. This man was out on bail for $1,000. I think, well, I don't remember the crime, but it was quite a serious crime. $1,000 bail. You know why? Because the district attorney, the people who set the bail, was one of those funded by George Soros, like in...
No, dude. No. That's not why. Jesus.
Los Angeles and San Francisco and Philadelphia, whose view is that virtually everyone in prison, especially a person of color, should not be in prison. And the fact that we allow out people who will do horrific things is fine with these people. He said so. The Daily Mail quoted him from years ago, saying, look, if this policy of letting people out of a prison or very low bail means that some people are going to get killed, then some people will get killed. It's a civil war in the United States of America. I hope it doesn't get more violent. I pray it doesn't. But I've been saying that there's a civil war in this country for...
Yeah, and the city has apologized for releasing it and said it was an error. This isn't like... Sorry, this isn't like, oh no, cash bail. Here's the thing, guys. People shouldn't be stuck in prison just because they can't pay, regardless of what they think of what we think of their crimes. If the crimes are bad enough, and I would argue that perhaps a 50-page long rap sheet does qualify as bad enough, you should just be held without bail. But I think that in the vast majority of cases, we should do away with the cash bail system. You shouldn't be able to just leave prison or jail just because you're wealthy. That seems kind of fucked. Maria, yes, I am transgender. Anyway, here we go.
For many years, liberals and conservatives have almost everything in common. Liberals vote for the left. That is the tragedy of the United States. But liberals and conservatives...
You know what? From now on, anytime anyone asks me if I'm transgender, I'm just going to say, I'm a woman. I'm just going to say I'm a woman. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm just going to say I'm a woman.
Are the enemies of the left. The left is a destructive force. It has always been. Everything the left touches, it destroys, whether it is the justice system.
Oh God. Some thoughts on autism. Oh no.
Or sports, or the arts, or universities, or high schools, or elementary schools. Everything. It is a purely destructive force. Why humans want to destroy what is good is a puzzle to those of us who love what is good. I don't understand it. I think it emanates, but I'm not absolutely certain. I think it emanates from secularism, affluence, and boredom. I think those are the ingredients of leftism. Secular, affluent, bored. It's a very, very difficult combination. Secular because they have no religious meaning, so they develop a religious substitute. Whatever the ism of the left is, Marxism, or feminism, or environmentalism, these are all substitute religions.
Yeah. Who would want to make the world a better place? That's just a substitute religion.
For the death of Judeo-Christian values. Affluent, because they have it so good and they have so much time on their hands. If you have to work for lunch and dinner and breakfast and feed a family, you don't have time to riot. And you do have meaning in your life.
Yeah, Dennis, does that mean you're gonna go out and riot? Damn, your religion sounds pretty based.
Get food for my family. By the way, most of them are single. I might even want to add that.
Hey, all those rioters, they're just getting soup for their families, okay?
Affluent, single, and bored. Boredom is a very toxic thing in life. Very toxic. So I think those are 4 of the ingredients that make such people. They are bored by the middle-class values that have made America strong. Graduate high school, get a job, get married, and have children. And get married before you have children.
Hey, what if, Dennis, what if we lived in a society that didn't coerce people into doing labor on threat of death? What if we did that? What if we just lived in a society that didn't coerce people into doing dog shit jobs under threat of, like, destitution and suffering? You know? What if the healthcare in our society wasn't contingent on you, having to pay money for it. And instead, people just had that, you know? People would be able to like find the most optimal job for their skill set. Surely that would be more efficient and more effective. Private companies like Prager or nonprofits, even like PragerU, wouldn't have to pay for health insurance for their employees. Surely that would be a major boon to all private businesses in the United States, Dennis Prager, including your own. What about wouldn't people work harder if they knew that their housing wasn't contingent on them having to do dog shit work? Right? I think a lot more people would open like mom and pop restaurants, for example. You know? I think more people would make better food than we do right now. By the way, this is something I need to talk about more when I talk about democratic worker co-ops, but I think the potential for democratic worker co-ops is the rebirth of like mom and pop restaurants, because so many of those have gone down the tubes and been replaced by Chipotle and like McDonald's and, you know, all kinds of different fast food places, right? Because you can't compete with the economy of scale. Mom and pop restaurants are way better, Berserk Mage. Yo, the best hamburger places to go are like the mom and pop restaurants. The best food places to go are family-owned restaurants where like the family has passed down recipes for like, you know, the last 2 generations. Yeah, asking for pronouns is always acceptable. I've never eaten at a Chipotle. Well, I do like Chipotle, but I have to be honest, there are better places to eat. True, city planning is a huge part of why megacorps take over too, because megacorps can lobby, small restaurants can't. The best hamburger place is my kitchen because it's a burger and burgers are easy to make. I'm sorry, restaurants suck. Just learn how to cook. Means of production, you know. Well, true. Like if you know how to cook and you have the time to cook, yeah, your own cooking can definitely be way better. But also, sorry, I think if people want to dedicate like their life to becoming better chefs, and I want to dedicate my life to being an astrophysicist, I think there's a way we can support one another where one of us is able to make delicious food and the other of us is able to make astrological records. I don't know, whatever astrophysicists do. The best matzo ball soup is on the menu of your local family restaurant. Everyone should learn how to cook. I mean, look, everyone should learn how to do a lot of things, but not everyone is going to learn how to do everything. You know, there is a degree of specialization that is required to be like a really, really, really good chef, you know? Berserk Mage, do you understand the concept of like the more you do something, the better you get at it? It's kind of like a video game. The more you do something, the more experience you get, and then you're able to do like more complicated things, right? And if someone specializes in cooking, they get better and better and better at it, right? So if somebody is cooking for their job every day, they're going to be better at cooking than you are. I'm sorry. I'm maybe I need to tell you this. You're not the best cook that has ever lived. You're probably pretty mediocre in terms of how good you are at cooking. There are people who spend all day, every day cooking for themselves and other people, which means they have a lot more experience than you and a lot more knowledge than you. And pretending you know as much as they do is pretty sad and piss baby. I don't know. Maybe try not being a piss baby.
This drives them crazy. That is their nightmare. Such a boring life. I happen to find that very fulfilling. Taking care of a family has been the most meaningful thing in my life. There are many other
Yeah, hopefully you don't have a gay child, Dennis. That's going to be real difficult for you to deal with.
meaningful things, but that's the most. Taking care of a family. That's how I was raised. That's what you do, Dennis. You get married, you have children, and you take care of all of them. It's very...
Wait, he called all of you swine? Maybe he is a good chef. You know, he's been taking some pointers from Hell's Kitchen.
fulfilling. Not very easy all the time. It's easier to be single. It's easier to not have children. But I never sought an easy life. I don't want my tombstone to read, "Here lies Dennis Prager. He led an easy life." An easy life is almost never a fulfilled life. Okay. And now to your questions. Okey-doke.
Hi, Dennis. It's Scott from Rochester, New York. And my question to you this week is about autism. What are your thoughts on autism awareness versus autism acceptance? Should it be treated as a disability or just as a neurological difference? I'm seeing in many ways the left trying to take autism under the wing as an intersectionality point. And as someone who's autistic and conservative, I wonder what your thoughts are.
Well, that's an interesting series of questions. So part of it is not clear to me. I don't know what the left taking it under their wing as an intersectionality point means, so I'll just have to leave that for now. So
Wait. Dennis, is this the first time you've heard the word intersectionality? Do you genuinely not know what that means? No, he has to know, right? Wait, chat, he has to know, right? Or does he think intersectionality is just like a nonsense lefty word? Yeah, he didn't know. God damn.
So let's see. What are your thoughts on autism awareness versus autism acceptance? Again, I'm not quite sure what that conflict is. There's very little awareness of autism among those who don't have someone autistic in their family. I do have someone autistic in my family, my stepson, who is, what is he? Let's see, he's in his late 30s. And he's been in my life, but most of his life. I married his mother, and he was about 8 years old or 9 years old. And he lives with us, so I interact with an autistic person. He could not ask as coherent a question as you did. The spectrum of autism is so broad that it's an odd thing even to use the term. You have very little in common with my stepson. My stepson, on the other hand, is light years ahead of another person I know who's autistic who has to live in an institution. This woman cannot take care of herself in any way, whereas my stepson showers and shaves and prepares his own food and talks up a storm about politics and the weather and whatever else is on his mind. And he's somewhat of a delight to be with, actually. But he can't live on his own. I suspect you could. So there's no answer to anything about autism, since the spectrum is so broad. It goes from you asking this intelligent question with excellent vocabulary to this girl who's in an institution. And yet you're both autistic. It's almost a silly word to use. Maybe they should have autistic 1 to 10. So, you might be 8 or 9. And she would be 2 or 1. So now about acceptance.
Yeah, almost like the autism spectrum isn't something that's talked about. Literally getting an ad for Chipotle. Look, if you're getting an ad for Chipotle, Vulcan Blackfire, the solution is clear. Subscribe to me, so you don't see ads. And also, Chipotle, sponsor me, okay? I love Chipotle. Sponsor me. I'll eat a Chipotle on stream every single time I stream. I will do that for you, Chipotle. I will do it. Just provide me with funds. Yeah, you have 10 out of 10 autism.
Acceptance versus, what did you put it? Awareness. I don't know what acceptance means. Do I accept my stepson's autism?
Yeah, that's the thing, Salmon Moose. Like, the autism spectrum is a thing. Why, how does he not know that? He's been living with an autistic person for like 30 years and he doesn't know that.
What does that even mean? Do I wish he weren't? I wish he weren't. He loves life. If he were not autistic, only God knows how productive he would be and how fulfilled in life. I think he feels fulfilled now to the extent that he can, but that's another issue.
To the extent that he can? Jesus, dude. Oh, this is a really awkward question for him to take, I suppose, right after talking about how in order to live a fulfilled life, you need to, like, finish high school, get married, and have kids. And I guess it's really awkward pivoting from that to talking about people with autism who might struggle with one or all of those steps. And he's now realizing, as he's answering this question, that life isn't as easy as checking off 3 things on a list to make your life fulfilled. Why is he so insulting? Because this is how he is. He just is this way. Is he saying he wishes he could euthanize now? No. Don't be gross. No, but what he is saying is that, like, autistic people live less fulfilled lives than non-autistic people, which is, I think, deeply, deeply awful.
So I don't even know what acceptance means in that sense. Let's see. And the other thing was, should it be treated as a disability or just as a neurological difference? It is what you think it is. You could answer that. I can't. But I could say, of course my stepson has a disability. And even if it's a neurological difference, it's a disability. I don't know why it's not a dirty word, disability. It's either true or not true. He is somewhat disabled compared to some.
Not just that, but they are incapable of knowing what would be really ruling fulfilling. What do you mean by ruling fulfilling? If I had to gauge by your spelling and use of words, I would probably guess you are incapable of knowing what's ruling fulfilling you. No, I disagree with your point. Autistic people are absolutely able to decide and figure out what would be fulfilling for them. Jesus. This isn't a difficult thing. No, I agree with that. I'm saying that's what he thinks. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. I just finished saying that. Sorry, I'm prickly today, I guess.
Someone who has no autism. Okay. Thank you for calling in, as it were. Arthur, 15 years old in Recife, Brazil. Hey, Dennis, environmentalism has always been part of my life. My teacher once chose Al Gore as the theme for our classroom presentation at my school's cultural fair. Mind-blowing. One time I decided to watch other videos about climate change. That's how I discovered PragerU.
Oh,
opened
God.
my eyes beyond the doomsday predictions. Yes, by the way, for the record, we have never, ever denied that the Earth is getting warmer. The left charges us because they hate how effective PragerU is. As the New York Times just wrote in passing, we're the Titan of conservatives in the conservative world, which is true. And Titan was their word. So they really loathe us because we're very honest. We're very sophisticated. We don't scream. We don't call names. We are very interested in things other than politics, like happiness, getting along with people, ethics, religion. So they make up things, which is what they do all the time. They make up things that are not true. We don't deny that the Earth is getting warmer. We deny that there is an existential threat to humanity. Existential means the existence of. That is panic porn. That is intellectually and scientifically indefensible hysteria.
It's not, my dude. And it's not even panic porn. It's just pointing out that if we continue doing what we've been doing without changing our behavior, the planet is going to be fucked. That's not panic porn. It's just saying, hey, our incentive structure and like the way we do things needs to change so we don't fuck ourselves. Yeah, like that his point is just like, everyone calm down. You won't die in the floods and the the super tornadoes. It'll be your kids or your grandkids. Don't worry about it. Like, Jesus. Yeah, no, it's just the argument that, like, yeah, global warming's happening, but you know what? We can't do shit all about it, so we might as well just drill, baby, drill.
Which all it does is breed fear, and fear is a weapon. So that's what we believe.
No. I'm sorry, I'm being a pause champ today. Fear isn't a weapon. We're pointing out that X is going to happen if we do Y. And if we do Z, then X won't happen. This isn't a fear-based thing. It's just a basic ability to compare two different outcomes. One of those outcomes being extensively worse than the other. And it won't be an outcome that we have to deal with. It will be an outcome that our children or our grandchildren will have to deal with. And I don't know, if you're like a halfway not shit person, you probably don't want your children or your grandchildren to be in on a planet that is beset by colossal natural disasters. Yeah, exactly. If you're stabbed 7 times in the back, you will die. Why are you fear-mongering? It's just like, hey, this is what happens when you get a cut on your foot. If you don't treat it, it becomes necrotic and it could kill you. Why are you fear-mongering, bro? I don't need to use antibiotics.
Okay, that's right. We open your eyes beyond the doomsday predictions. You got it right. But this question isn't about me, it's about my father. He is a strong Protestant Christian and conservative, but very climate alarmist. A while ago, he did a carbon footprint test and was shocked because as much as we are from a third world country, he said things like, we should consume less. And I tried to counter it with
Brazil isn't even a third world country, bro.
Facts, but I don't think that this changed his mind. Any tips how to handle this? By the way, send a hi to Otto. I wish I could. Otto has more.
But by the way, Brazil is probably one of the places on the planet most rife with climate disasters. You know, there is a financial incentive for their farmers to burn down the Amazon. There are massive dams and mining communities that create toxic runoff that is just dumped into the surrounding ecosystem with horrible effects. Guys, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in 2015, there was a news story about this mining community where their dam failed, right? Had their method of transporting the pollutants around failed, and the resulting disaster killed dozens of people and contaminated the surrounding ecosystem for decades. It's still fucked up. Yeah, the Fundão iron mine tailings dam. It poured 50 million tons of mud and toxic waste into the Rio Doce. Killed 19 people, polluted the river, contaminated croplands, killed fish and wildlife, polluted the drinking water with toxic sludge for 400 miles along the river. Dude, and that's just one thing that's happened. Just one thing. Brazil has similar things happening all the time. Yeah, Brazil should be super ecologically conscious.
Down, probably to eat. So let's see. The question is what? Oh yes, you tried to counter your dad with facts, but that didn't change his mind. The number of people whose minds will be changed by facts is not large. Most people come to their conclusions emotionally.
True.
I wish people made up their mind with facts. You know how many years now Al Gore is the perfect example. Al Gore in 1990 said that he and others, if not he exactly, others in his camp, if we have 12 years, every 12 years we have 12 years, or it's an existential threat.
Well, no. Here. If I recall correctly, Al Gore brought up that we had 12 years to do something to make sure that the climate could remain at a relatively stable temperature. We didn't do anything in those 12 years, so now we have like another, I don't know, 10 years to do something to keep climate change at like 1.5 degrees Celsius. And if we don't do enough, then it's gonna go up to like 3 degrees Celsius, then like 5, 7, 10. It's not good. It's not good. The longer we don't do stuff, the higher the change goes.
As Bjorn Lomborg from Denmark, who writes on this, he's a statistician, and he writes on this regularly for the Wall Street Journal, and he's written books, and he's done
so good
videos,
drinking, I bet.
Comes on my radio show. He really knows his stuff. You know how few people, a few thousand people a year die of heat? 100 years ago, the number of people who died from as a result of climate was so much larger. People were doing fine. But we're doing fine is like curse words to the board. What I said to you before, secular, affluent, and bored, that's exactly who make up the environmentalist movement.
Hey, here's an article from The Guardian from a couple months ago. Extreme temperatures kill 5 million people a year with heat-related deaths rising. Meaning that a lot of people around the planet are dying from heat-related death. In fact, if you look at the data sets, let's take a look here. Researchers analyzed mortality and weather data from 750 locations in 43 countries between 2000 and 2019, and found the average daily temperature in these locations increased by 0.26 Celsius per decade. The study found more people had died of cold than heat over the 2-decade period. But heat-related deaths were increasing while cold-linked deaths were dropping. Meaning that as it gets hotter, more people are going to die from heat, and less people are going to die from cold. Wow. Exactly what you might expect from studies of a warming planet. Slow down, Professor.
Movement. These are all very secular, not all. There are some people, like even the Pope, some religious people have joined it. But overwhelmingly, it is secular and affluent. These people are looking for meaning. And what gives you more meaning than saving the planet? How many people could say they've saved Earth? That's big. It's exciting. They're looking for excitement.
Okay, so Dennis's big idea is that environmentalists and climatologists are all just lying because it's exciting. This is someone who just described himself and his outlet as like the intellectual titans of conservatism.
I'm excited by life, by friends, by work, by travel, by love, by kids, by wife, friends. I mean, I feel such a rich life and a rich intellectual life, my music and my reading. I've never sought to save the world from an impending doom. I have a riddle in that regard. What do you call a religious person who says the end is near? A religious fanatic. What do you call a secular person who says the end is near? An environmentalist. What is our time?
We're at 29.
We're at 29. I don't think I have time for another question, which is too bad. Yeah, I got a good one from Australia and other places. Well, I want to remind you, since I have about half a minute to go, I want to remind you that if you binge on the fireside chat, watch like 50 at a time, you'll be enriched. You'll be intellectually and even often emotionally enriched. And that goes back to the first one. These things are not dated. The points that I make, even if they're based on something happening then, are big points that are hopefully eternal. So I invite you to watch past versions or past episodes of the Fireside Chat. So until next week, I would thank you on behalf of Otto, but he left, but thank you for watching. See you next week. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
That was painful. Dennis Prager IRL looked away for a minute. What changed? Nothing to see here, baby.